Joanna Lott, welcome to the Star Coach Show.
Thank you so much. Very excited to be here.
I've been looking forward to this. We had a great exploratory call where now we can be best buddies. And we just shared like our mutual passion of helping coaches thrive. We're going to be talking about trends in the coaching industry and how, in the face of those trends, our listeners can step up and stand out. Like, what are some strategies? What are some things that we can do to shine our light bright in the face of other people shining their lights bright as well? But you know that we all have things that we can do. So we're going to dive into that in just a moment. I want to welcome all of our listeners, let you know how grateful I am that you're here. I do this show each week to help you thrive in your coaching space, in your leadership space, to potentially grow your skills, land a business like framework, and put some things in place so that you can really thrive. And also, how are we impacting the world with our coaching? How are we helping organizations be healthier? And really helping the world understand what coaching is, because it is my belief that when we can lead with more curiosity and we can try to connect and understand other human beings, the world is going to be a better place. So with that, that's sort of my, gigantic plan here on the Star Coach Show. We do have a new episode that launches every Wednesday. So if you are not following the show, do me a favor, take a second and follow on whatever platform you're listening on. And even better, subscribe to Star Coach Show on YouTube, because then you're going to see the lovely Joanna Lott, not just hear her. You're going to get tips and tricks and all the different things that we do that are in addition to wherever you're listening on whatever platform you might be listening on. So you can both subscribe on whatever platform you listen on, but also hop over to YouTube, because you're going to get extra, and I want you to have that extra. So that's the end of that sort of plug. And then I want to introduce you to Joanna Lott and what it was that made me want to introduce Joanna to you, because I really did. Like I was like, oh yeah, she's somebody who needs to be on the show. Joanna is a business coach. She helps, and this is such an important qualifier. She helps qualified coaches attract clients with honesty, not hype. Now, this is the deal. I often say, it all starts, ladies and gentlemen, with, are you paying attention to what your skill level is? Are you invested in bringing your best forward? Because when you're bringing qualified coaching forward, then all the things that we talk about on the Star Coach Show are going to be helpful to you. But it really starts with, we're under the positive intention that you are bringing your best forward, that you're actually sharpening your saw as a coach. I think that's just kind of key. Don't you think, Joanna?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Love it.
So Joanna is also a host of a podcast, The Women in Coaching Arena. It is a top 2% globally ranked show. And in that, she's also sharing strategies to help you grow, thrive, and create sustainable businesses. So be sure to follow her show and do the same thing, like subscribe wherever it is. Joanna has a track record of successfully selling executive and career coaching services to organizations and to individuals. So she's going to have such a perspective to help us think about, how do we enter, as we talked about, Joanna, in advance, a growing industry and really shine in that growing industry. She also has a one-stop coach shop. Love that. Where you can look at, you can get access to templates and resources designed specifically for coaches. So many good things. We'll have links to connect with Joanna and all the great things she does in the show notes. And if you're watching us on YouTube, below this video. Enough about setting the stage. Let's jump up onto that stage. Joanna, we're going to be talking about coaching trends, how to stand out. Where do we want to start in this important topic?
Oh, exciting. Yes. Where to start? So I think, which is kind of an unusual place considering we're meeting online, but I also do think the return of in-person is really coming back after obviously many years of everyone going on Zoom. I'm really seeing that clients are requesting it. My clients are certainly requesting elements of it. So yeah, that return of in-person coaching or events, I really am noticing. How about you? Have you noticed that where you are?
I have. I just came back from a conference where, coaches just swarm to be together, to rub elbows, to have those quiet times that you can be together when you go to a conference and you can break off and you can have that connection. And I don't want to minimize the fact that you're all the way across the pond. It's the end of the day for you, it's the middle of the day for me, and we're able to have this great connection. So I think, yes, what can we do to meet the needs of that in-person connection and enjoy the fact that technology allows us to spend this quality time together all the way, like you're in England, I'm in the United States, and we're having a good time together. So, yes, and.
Yes, totally. I really do think that hybrid approach is doing amazing. Like, for example, I use video a lot with my clients. So I send them Loom videos. Don't know if you've heard of Loom, but it's LOOM.com. And it's a really good way of communicating. I use voice notes a lot. So even if it's not with an in-person element, I think there's also that trend towards just easily accessible, different ways of contacting your clients and working together right now.
Right. So one way to stand out and really shine your light is to bring your humanness into their space. So that humanness, not that text messages or emails aren't human, but like I want all of you to think about the last time that maybe you got a little recording or a video from somebody as a welcome instead of just a welcome email. Or like Joanna said, what can we do to create that human connection through in-person things whenever possible? So how are you incorporating more of that into your business? What are you creating in the way of connection for your clients?
Yeah, so I think it starts right from before the sale. Like if somebody messages me on LinkedIn, for example, before becoming a client, I use a lot of personal touches even at that point. So again, I would send them a video, maybe sharing my screen and sharing behind the scenes of what it would be like to work with me. So I think there's ways right from the beginning that you can make such a personal, amazing impression. And I have something insane like a 80% conversion rate to signing that client just from this little 2-minute Loom video that I send them because it's such a wow factor that I've actually shared the screen on their LinkedIn profile, said, oh, wow, it looks like you're doing amazing things here. I really love that experience. So it's just if you ever want to try something like that prior to someone becoming a client, I would love to hear how it works out for you because it's been amazing for me.
I love that. So, kind of meeting people where they're at, which is what we want to do as coaches anyway, because you're a business coach, looking at their LinkedIn profile, bringing up their strengths, maybe even like giving a suggestion or something about, I noticed how well you're doing this, and this is something you might think about. Right there shows like, oh, if she's giving me that value just through an introductory call, what would it be like to work with her? So give them a little bit of taste of that. Um, I I love, and you mentioned to me, that part of that is solidifying that chemistry too, right? So the more you can give of yourself and sort of show a little bit of your personality and what it's like to work with you, they're already deciding right there, is this somebody that I'm attracted to? Or is this, people might be like, oh, that Meg, she kind of gives me a rash. Or, oh, she gives, she really is magnetic to me. And it's okay. Both of those things, I would rather know both of those things out of the gate because you only want to work with the people who you light up to work with, right?
Yeah, totally. So I really do believe that in your marketing, you can show who you really are and then attract your type of people into your world. So I think there's nothing worse for me than when I have a discovery call with someone who has never followed me or hasn't specifically chosen to work with me. And yeah, so therefore, I'm just so obsessed by great marketing that really shows who you are, like podcasting, things that people actually hear you, hear your values, hear what's important to you prior to them even considering working with me. Otherwise, it's just so hard to build that connection when you could have been building it through your marketing all along.
So you're really, by creating that marketing experience and getting your voice out there, you're potentially getting more warm leads than cold leads, it
Oh
sounds
yeah,
like.
100%, totally. Nearly always a warm lead, and then when I do, a blue moon, have a cold lead, I'm so shocked. I think because I'm so not used to having that anymore. How about you, Meg? How does it work for you?
I think that it's like, for example, having the podcast, we both have a podcast. One of the things that I'm able to do is say, I encourage you to listen to this episode. That's going to answer some of the questions that you have, but it's also going to help you see my style. And if that is something, so we've had our call, or we've explored, and then I'm able to, because of the content that I've put out, because of the library that I have, I'm able to say, based upon your needs, this is something that's going to help create some new clarity, or see, does that really resonate with you? And you've got, your podcast is primarily solo, you giving answers. That makes it even better, because sometimes mine might be, Joanna answered that really well, listen to that one. And maybe that, and I'm also great and fine with like helping people connect with other resources, because I think that's part of kind of being in this industry together. Um, that I'm not the best coach for everyone, but when I can help coaches connect with the resource that's best for them, that's going to help them thrive. And that's ultimately my passion anyway. So I'm wondering how you've used your like your podcast that is primarily you giving your wisdom. How are you leveraging that to create this connection to help you sort of stand out in the industry, but also bring value to your clients?
Yeah, the podcast was an absolute game changer for my business. And I think now nearly every person that works with me because they've listened to the podcast. So, yeah, it's just been amazing to share my ideas, help them see that I really get them. So lots of people say it's just like you're in my head, which is a marketer's dream, because I really do feel them and know them because I am them. I think that's the best marketer, when a lot of the time we are essentially trying to save our former self. Like, we've obviously been through the challenges, hence why we're probably so passionate about helping that ideal client. So I think if that's you and you're looking back to your former self, essentially trying to support that person, wishing that you had had that support, then use that to your advantage by really feeling into what that person feels like in that moment.
I love that. The other thing that I just, love about putting content out consistently is that I'm aware that not everybody's going to work with me, or maybe people aren't in a place of being able to afford that. And that's how come I give different levels of, like membership is a very affordable thing versus like, hiring me as your coach full time would be a very different kind of thing. So what am I doing to make myself accessible at different levels? But also, the podcast is free. You can, I love being able to know, and based upon what you're saying, you are also out there giving genuine, valuable insights, content. And whether we ever meet, I'm not going to meet everybody who listens to my show, but gosh, if I know that it's bringing value, and and we're offering value at different levels, I don't know, that lights me up. What's your thought about that?
Yeah, totally. I always say that if you can view marketing as part of your mission, then you will have a successful business, because just like you, I don't really care if they buy from me or not. I care that they are successful, and that genuinely matters to me. So I will share as much value as I can. And those who want more support can come for it. And then others can just contact saying, like, wow, I've got a business because of listening to your podcast. And I'm over the moon for them, rather than thinking, oh gosh, am
Exactly.
I giving too much value? I think I would just never think in that way. I just think we need to lead with value and our mission and really hold that mission deep, because again, I do think most successful business owners have a mission that they cannot stop. Like, that's how you can become successful, because you are so dedicated to your mission.
Love that. So really our first point here in stepping out and making a name for yourself in the crowd is providing value, providing consistent outreach, like whatever that content is. What are you doing? Is it genuine, valuable? Is it, because I truly believe that if you're just like teasing with your marketing or teasing with what you're offering versus saying, hey, this is what I know to be true. Try, when this happens, this happens. Um, People will still need to work with coach. I mean, because it's really the partnership and the implementation and taking knowledge into action that is often the reason why people say, I get what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not doing it, so I need to work with a coach. So, whether it's in person, which is so key, and there's an influx of that, and people were desperate for that through the whole COVID, and like that got taken away from us, and now it's coming back. So I love your point about in person. What can you do in person to create that connection? And yet, since we're global, how can we bring a little bit of that in person, either through Loom, either, videos, voice connection? How can we potentially expand what we're offering to bring more of that in person through valuable, um, heart-centered sort of content? That's sort of our first, like, how can you stand out from the crowd? Did I leave anything out in that first point?
No, I think it's perfect. And yeah, in case it's useful, I like to think of it as shallow content, which is social media, and deep content, which is podcasting or other ways of connecting in a deeper way. So I think it's really easy to get sucked in only to the social media and wonder why it's not working and people are not messaging you. But I think without the deep stuff as well, you'll really struggle to build that business, because it does take both types, the social media maybe to get the reach, and then inviting people further into your world through some other workshops, webinars, in-person events, great videos, like something that you can do to help them to get to know you more. So yeah, build out that whole
Love
full
that.
funnel.
Love it. Even for anybody who's like, I'm uncomfortable in getting in front of a video right now. Well, and you might be a writer, and even in your social media, what you're doing is then connecting your blog or connecting a meaningful article or something that really helps people connect with you. Now, I'm still going to challenge you to get in front of the camera, to let people see you, to let them hear your voice, because ultimately we know to be true that that is going to create more of that human connection. But I'm not dissing any of you who are writers and want to because that's valuable too. And I'm always going to challenge you to take it to, like, what can you do to create a little more human connection? So well said, Joanna. Thank you for all of that you brought. And now we're going to move into, like, what are hybrid coaching models, and how are they helping people who immerse themselves in those and offer those? How are they helping people stand out in this coaching trends of more and more people coming into the world of coaching, hanging their shingle? I'm a coach, I'm a coach, I'm a coach. Okay, well, how do we stand out in that? And how do hybrid coaching models help us in that?
Yes, love it. Totally. I think it's about doing something slightly differently and maybe bringing in some online course type element with some live element, with maybe some one-on-one as well, with maybe a in-person or retreat as well. Also things like bots now. Like, so people, some of my clients, I haven't actually personally used them yet, but my one of my clients has got the most wonderful bot that he uses in between sessions with his clients. So his name's Ross, so he calls it the Ross bot. And it's a wonderful addition between the sessions that they have this bot that literally asks them one question at a time. He's trained it so well and it sounds like him and it feels like him. So I think anything you can do to just do something different. He was only sort of messing around doing it, but he's had loads of great feedback and lots of people want to work with him after having a little go with his Ross bot.
Excellent. So basically what that's doing is, let's say we've had a discovery call, or we've had a, and then the bot is going to kind of follow up with that person and ask some meaningful questions or get them thinking. So it's a way to keep that contact warm, to keep it to keep the engagement without Ross having to get online and chase each person down or whatever. It's a way to automate some of that follow-up. Is that
Yeah,
basically, am I understanding that?
but also with your actual clients, because we're always going to be at stages at, 9 o'clock at night where we're stressed out about something. He can build that into his actual program that they have, just like we used to say, or I still say actually, you get email access to me in between sessions. He
Mm-hmm.
can say you get access to Rosspot in between sessions
24/7. Mm-hmm.
24/7. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it can genuinely be trained really well to be just like he would answer questions because he's
So
trained
that,
it
okay,
so
so
well.
I'm getting clearer about this now. It's not just the raw spot like sending out. It's like I can engage with it as a potential client or as a client. So I can say, I've got a presentation tomorrow and I'm freaking out about X, Y, and Z. What would you recommend? And the raw spot, who's been trained by Ross, is going to kind of give the kind of response to bring me down and to truly give me 24/7 access.
Yes,
Thank you.
totally.
It took Meg a little bit to get clear about that, but we got there, ladies and gentlemen. You might have been years ahead of me on that one, but I just took a little bit to catch up.
Yeah, so it's yeah, just tiny things that could be different. So you can have a Ross bot if your name's Ross, or you could have a Meg bot. Doesn't flow quite as well, does it? But things like that's really great. Let me think what else could stand out in the industry. I think becoming an absolute expert in your particular space is really important now in such a busy market. I think it really helps to think of one word even that is your specific slant on things. So for me, well, it's more than one word actually, but it's honesty, not hype. And just having that differentiator in a busy, hyped up
Right.
marketplace has really helped me find my slant. So I think, yeah, as well as the practical things, there's also thinking about how are you particularly different and what is your special slant. That doesn't need to be niching, which I think
Right.
is useful, don't get me wrong. But I also just think that extra little thing that you can add.
I love it's sort of like you found three words that represent what you believe to be true about effective marketing that resonates with your client, because we all understand honesty, not hype. That, like, okay, I get that. It's not like, and is that what I want? Yeah, I want to be, I don't want to be all hype, because how many times do we hear coaches say, oh, I don't want to be a salesperson. It just feels so slimy and it feels so like I'm like not being authentic and genuine. Well, is honesty not hype? Like, does that feel genuine and authentic to you? That's what I do with my clients. I mean, it's like, boom, like, so I challenge all of you to get really clear about what's either your methodology, what do you believe to be true for your clients? What is a easy, concise, knock them between the eyes way to kind of say what you believe to be true or what you do with your clients. Joanna helps her clients create marketing that attracts them through honesty, not hype. Like, whoa, that, and so one of the things I was challenging my community to do today is, we're going to start doing some spotlights where they come in and they introduce themselves to the community, because we've got to get in this way of, I'm like comfortable just smoothly talking about what I do, but not in a way that's all caught in process. And it's like, what's the result? What's the thing? What's the sweet spot? That's a beautiful sweet spot. Honesty, not hype. Love it. It could be a billboard. Um, the other
Love
thing
it.
that we were talking about that you talked about was doing things like immersive workshops. What what would can you describe an immersive workshop for the audience in such a way that they could decide like, oh, that's something that I might want to do, or yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, totally. Well, I'll first recommend a book which I've used to create all of the in-person events that I've done. So it's called The Art of Gathering. Have you heard of it before?
I haven't, but I will
Oh.
now.
Oh yeah, it's a life-changing book, and it talks about how we cultivate our space and how important it is right from before the event to help welcome people into that event. So again, I use videos a lot. I set the scene. I say, here's what we will welcome into the space. Here's what we'll leave at the door when you enter the space. So you're clearly outlining what you will and won't accept in your environment on that particular day. Yeah, just amazing, amazing things you can do. Like, for example, we made our own essential oil. I have mine here. And I had tables laid out where you went and just put a little drop of whichever ones you wanted, made your own oil that was going to make you feel amazing. So anything you can do to just do something unique and different, but really utilize that book for sure, The Art of Gathering, to create the most amazing events.
Excellent. So once again, that event in person had to be in person to be able to kind of create those essential oils, and getting people to kind of engage in an activity, think through what fun it will be to like walk away with an oil that has all the elements in it that I'm looking for. What a neat idea. So immersive workshops where you're both probably teaching and giving takeaways, but some of those takeaways can be through fun activities as well. So
Yeah.
good.
And
So
also,
good.
just to bring in the online element, I actually then ran the workshop afterwards because there were lots of people in the US and different places that wanted to come and obviously couldn't come. So I posted them an oil, the chocolate, the hand cream, all the things that we'd done at the event, a card to write to themselves, a planner. And then I held the workshop online with their posted goodies. So again, it's another way of doing something different because no one receives anything in the post before. So people are mind blown that I'm, going around homemaking them an essential oil and
And
posting
mailing it
to
to
them
them.
and
How
mailing it to them.
exciting.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
wow. So they get this little box, and often like during COVID, I'm willing to bet that many of you attended at least one workshop where you got the care package in advance if you had signed up in advance. And that's what Joanna's talking about. But it doesn't need to stop just because we're doing more in person. So let me just ask for like some details if that's okay. Did you do the in-person event first?
I did the
Okay.
in-person event first and then the other one maybe 2 weeks later, an online one.
But how exciting, because then you could maybe post pictures, or you could post the experience. You could like when I say post, put up on
Yeah.
a website or onto like put up evidence of this is what the amazing event was, and you can still do the amazing event. We'll just customize it to doing it online, and part of that is you get this cool package in the mail. And who doesn't love to get cool packages in the mail? Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, that's amazing. So that's another way to potentially create a hybrid coaching model, or a hybrid coaching program, whatever makes sense. What could you add to it to make it special, to make you stand out from because Joanna, is it not true? There is like a an abundance of things that we could do. So we've got to like create something that draws us above above the throng of other things.
Yeah, totally. It's about being different, but it's also about being authentic and
And
doing the
fun.
things that you find exciting. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Fun is my word. I mean, I'm like, I'll do anything that's fun. Okay, so what about the whole concept of, so just to rehash for everybody, be authentic, maybe do some in-person things, give that value consistently. Then we talked about how do you take that special flair and turn it into a hybrid coaching model, something to help you give give an event, give something that like, ooh, people are drawn to. That helps you stand out from the crowd. But what about this whole concept, and what about this whole concept of coaching with purpose?
Yeah, totally. So I do think now there's a move towards collective stuff. That's not a very good word for it, but things like the environment or anything that's to do with social impact, mental health. There's certain things that we all collectively want to improve upon. So I think coaching is becoming more about that collective impact as well as just the individual,
Almost
helping
social
them with their goals.
responsibility. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. So I think if you can find a mission, a real strong purpose or mission that other people want to get behind, whether that's diversity or whatever it might be, then you can really build a great business if you manage to get that mission and communicate it well enough to take people on board with you.
Oh, love that. And what I want everybody to realize is that once again, it's not like you're trying to hit 100% of the people 100% of the time. If your societal mission or the thing that lights you up and compels you forward that you want to invite people into that space, if not everybody's on board with that, that's okay. You don't want the people that's not on board with it and you don't align with them. Um, can you imagine if everybody in the world wanted to coach with you? That's impossible. So we don't need everybody. We need our people. And so a way to shine your light amongst the growing profession of coaching is to unapologetically claim your space and know that your space resonates with your people. And when it doesn't resonate with people, they're probably not your people. What are your thoughts about that, Joanna?
100%. I really, really believe that. You won't want everyone. You need to attract your people. And the only way you can really do that is by being really clear on what you stand for and what you don't stand for as well. So challenge the norm, really think about, everyone thinks this, but I think this. Like, what is your point of view? And then you will start to attract your people.
Sometimes people are afraid to be controversial and yet sort of and I've actually had a couple shows about this in, kind of getting getting invited onto shows or getting like media. You got to be a little controversial. You got to, because you don't want to be sort of a bland biscuit. You want to be a spicy biscuit kind of thing. So in that, because then you will draw the people who are, not everybody's going to, you're going to get some people who say, totally not me. Okay, that's totally okay. And those people who are totally like, you've got my seasoning, you've got my spice, that's what I want. That's great. And I love the idea, especially as we think about being responsible um, inhabitants of this globe. Like we want to be, and so that means different things to different people. But when you can tap into that, and I love how you said, coach shift from that individual growth to collective action. We talked about that earlier. Like, yeah, how can you do that, and how can that weave into what you offer as a coach?
Totally. And again, back to the mission, the best businesses, I think, are really mission led. Like your enthusiasm shines through because this is a mission for you, and that's really obvious. So I think if you haven't really found your mission yet, then keep trying, keep thinking what's important to me. What makes me angry is usually a good way of figuring out what the opposite might be. What is your mission?
Yes.
What are you trying to stop? So find that mission, because you need that mission to have the enthusiasm to build your business.
So good. I was at a conference a couple years ago with coaches at all different levels of business. And one of the brand new coaches in one of our breakouts was, she was so scared to put her voice out there because she was like, what about the haters? What about the haters on social media? What if people are mean to me on social media? And I think that in this day and age, that's going to be a given. You say something that somebody takes, offense to. How would you recommend, what would your advice be if you were in that breakout group with that young coach who was worried about that?
I would immediately flip it of like, what's the benefit that being visible is going to bring to you? And
Mhm.
are you going to let that one negative person stop you from impacting hundreds of people's lives, which you could impact if you weren't going to let that person stop you? So yeah, what's the loss and what's the gain of not doing it, essentially? So she's
Mhm.
letting that one, horrible person that wants to stop
Mhm.
her joy and enthusiasm and things like rule her life. Is that a great choice or not?
Right. I love that. Are we giving that person our power? Are we giving the hate? And the reality is we have no control over whether people want to be nasty and hateful or not. But we do have control over our message and believing it and owning it. And if I get a negative comment, I think to myself, what can I learn from that? Can I learn anything from it? And do I want to give it any of my power? So often it's like, um, sometimes I even feel bad for the people who are haters because I think, is there a better place for you to put your energy? But I'm not going to kind of get all parental with them on that. I just sort of need to release it, right? But if to your point, um, if that voice shuts me down, who is not hearing my message, who needs to hear my message? And where do I want to put my energy?
Yeah, totally. I had a client once who didn't want to post on social media because obviously what would her previous colleagues think about, suddenly
Ah,
seeing her on social media? I'm sure you've had that one before. So I said to her sarcastically, what are you going to do? Message this guy. It was one particular guy. It's usually always is, isn't it? There's one particular person who
one
was saying,
person who's become, yes.
who's become everybody. So I said, what are you going to do? Message him and ask for his permission to post on LinkedIn. And she, hilarious enough, said, great idea. And she actually I was like joking. She actually messaged him and said, I want to start promoting my business, but I have this fear that you're going to be thinking bad things about me and making fun of me. And I just wanted to put it out there. And he replied, going, just go for it. And now she is an absolute sensation. She has millions of followers on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, all because of actually facing that situation head on, which I'm not saying I would recommend. I wasn't really recommending it to her, but it worked
But
for
it
her.
was what worked for her, right?
Yeah.
She needed to get that barrier out of the way by hitting it head on. That's the other thing. How often, I teach cognitive coaching. Mind reading is one of the most common cognitive distortions. I assign how Joanna feels about me based upon what I think. So it's like she kind of took her mind reading head on, didn't she? And say, how are you going to behave if I do this? And I'm sure on some level he's thinking, why do you care what I would do? But it's all good. She took on the obstacle and got rid of it. Love that story. All
Totally.
right, we've covered a lot of material today. We've talked about how we need to get our message out there consistently, authentically, and in person if possible. How to create dynamic hybrid programs that attract people and help us, kind of be our differentiator. And how when we connect with purpose, with something beyond ourselves, something societal, something of value, that's going to attract those people who believe in that to us, and also kind of feed our own well, that that we're responding in a way that lights us up and that's important to us. So good. So I'd love to continue talking to you forever, but we're going to have to wrap up. And what do you want people to kind of walk away thinking about when they think about standing out from the crowd?
Yes, totally. I think it's about your clarity of thought. You're going to gain so much from going on this visibility mission. You will learn your own voice, you will build your confidence, you'll build your self-esteem. So there's so much to gain for other people, but also for your own personal growth. And obviously, coaches love personal growth. So think of it as the biggest personal growth journey of your life, because it really is, and it is life-changing. So go for it and show up.
So good. Joanna's got some great resources for you. We're going to have links to connect with her either below this video if you're watching on YouTube, or at starcoachshow.com for this episode. Joanna, just like, what would be the best way for people to follow your work?
Yes, totally. So I have a coaches planner, 2025 coaches planner, which will take you through the full process of building your business. So you can find that on my website, joannalottcoaching.com. And I've also got a podcast called Women in the Coaching Arena. So you can listen on there as well.
Please do. And when you listen, follow her so that that you are always kept up on her show. So as we talk about shows, once again, I want to thank you for joining us, because when I have incredible guests like Joanna here, don't you want to learn and grow from them? That is my mission, my purpose, to help coaches thrive, get your work into the world. Because ultimately, if we're talking sort of on a societal level, I believe that we are all on the earth together for a purpose. And that purpose is not to squish people down or to other people, to actually realize that we are connected. And how can we share in that connection? How can we do the heavy lifting together? Maybe challenge yourself to think about this week. What's one thing I could do to reach out to another human being, to connect with somebody that maybe I don't understand, and try to understand them just a little bit better? So thank you for being here, and join us every Wednesday for a new Star Coach episode. Thank you again to Joanna Lott for joining me and sharing your brilliance with us. Until next week, this is Meg Rentschler wishing you the very best for your success. Have a great one.